What's poppin', y'all? It's your man Tyler C, and this is the Community Experiment. Each week on the Community Experiment, we sit down with individuals because we believe that individuals' stories have a way of strengthening the community around us. This week we sat down with the homie Josh Allred. That's right, the world famous cinematographer, the world famous DP, director of photographer out in these streets doing big things. To talk about his journey in video, in cinema. So let's hop into it and see how he got into this world.
Well, I think there's two school of thoughts. People are going to side on either side of whether you believe in God or you don't. For me, Jesus is in my life, and I think God has opened doors to put me in the spot. Like, I can't really claim a lot of credit for getting to where I am, to be quite honest. God's given me a talent and a passion to pursue, and he's allowed me to get to some of these places that, looking back in hindsight, I'm just like, honestly, I don't even know how I got this job. So I think a lot of it is like everybody else around in certain industries. It's kind of fake it till you make it. But honestly, for like one quote that I heard that really resonated with me is those that are successful are those that stick around. So I've been doing this for quite a long time, and I've been producing a lot of bad work for quite a long time until it finally started getting better. And I think I just didn't quit, kept learning. I'm always in a process of creatively learning from anyone I can, and never getting to the point where I'm like, finally figured it out, and now I'm just going to cruise. And so I think I'm always in a process of learning, and I think just pursuing creativity just for the sake of being creative and having a creator that created me to do that. So honestly, there's just things that have fallen in place that have, I guess, excelled my career, and it's a lot of hard work. I put a lot of research into finding out how to learn something. It's like any craft, you're going to pour yourself into it and put countless hours, and eventually you're going to get something out of it. And so
right.
I guess, short/long answer.
Dude, this is it. I say it every week. This is podcast. If you listen to podcasts, at least this podcast, you're going to hear the long story.
You're going to learn something.
You're going to learn something today. So let's take it back all the way to like your childhood. Now, did you come from a creative home? We heard on the streets that you're originally from California, which in these parts, people look down upon.
That's true. I grew up in Escondido. So
shout out Escondido.
Shout out.
I have no clue where that's at.
Esco. It's about, an hour, 45 minutes outside of San Diego. So I have family in San Diego as well.
Right.
But born and raised there. We moved up here not because of most Californians where they want to buy up property and because we couldn't afford living in California. So so my dad was a truck driver for a tractor delivery place, and my mom was a teacher. So
shout out teachers. My wife's a teacher.
Teachers are
the backbone.
The best. They're the backbone.
Yeah. They are the best.
My mom was a teacher. She was also, she never did anything with art, but, she was always very creative, could draw.
Nice.
I learned very early on that that's what I was drawn to, was drawing and painting and sketching, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I also have a twin brother. He lives over in Seattle.
What?
Looks nothing like me. If you were to see him, you'd be like,
that's Billy Jackson from down the street.
Not even his brother. I'm like, yeah, we're twins, so.
That's crazy. I didn't know this.
Yep. So he got the brains in the family. So, math, science, that all came easy to him.
Rocket scientist or something? Went to MIT?
He majored in psychology. So, went to school for that, and he's working in that field. But me, I just have always enjoyed the creative process, and any time for homework, you could like draw for school or for the project. I was like, I'm going to take the most time on this. So,
now, were you a good student coming up?
I was. My brother was always straight A's.
Better, quote unquote.
Yeah. I usually, ended up around the B, A area, but I had to try really hard at school to, work hard at math to actually get it. So it didn't come easy to me. But just the creative side, I always would get frustrated trying to I see a picture in my head, and that's what I'm trying to create. And it's still that way today because you're always hardest on yourself,
Yeah.
But that's how my mind works, is just creatively. And so growing up, and then we moved up here in 2006.
Okay.
And had been living up here until I went to school in Seattle, at the Art Institute of Seattle.
Oh, shout out the Art Institute of Seattle.
Yeah, we'll keep that on the DL. We don't need to shout out them.
Was it not good school? Oh my gosh, no.
No, it was great. I ended up getting a full ride, otherwise I wouldn't have gone. But I think that school was kind of like you get what you put into it, and it was good for networking. But I mean, I felt a lot of the instructors that were working there were teaching because they couldn't get a job in the industry, and that's never a good sign. And so it was kind of good to be exposed to the world, but majority of my knowledge and stuff really came after school when everything became hands-on and you just start learning by doing.
Yeah. So now with school, like high school and middle school and different things like that, do you feel like there were things not related to art that have helped you in your in the arts, like not to like guide you through these questions, but I guess I guess what I'm looking at is like the discipline that it took to get A's and B's on your report card as a student who wanted to go more towards the arts. Do you think that has helped you, and how has that helped you? Kind of, because you're basically running your own business as a director of photography and different.
Yeah, I think the whole I think just my personality being a perfectionist, like wanting to do good at everything, and learning how to be good at school and just excel that way. And like, a lot of the times that I would do good on tests, it's not because I really knew the material, it's because I knew how to take a test. So just kind of learning discipline in that way, and going through school, I have an older brother as well. So just trying to keep up with them. And like everything you do, you're competing. With
so that's what I was going to ask. Is it a competition?
Yeah, it was always a competition. Nice. So just learning stuff that way. And then honestly, on the business side of things that I'm doing now, like school helped me with, how to write a professional email, just how to do things that you don't even really think about that come in really handy on just getting your business across. And maybe you're getting that job over somebody else because you happen to have a professional email written,
You can grammar.
Learning, you can grammar, you can educate, just learning how to write a resume,
Yeah. Now, were you, so in looking at some of your work online, there's also a lot of what Steve Carell has called hardcore parkour.
The mastermind, yeah. Actually, hardcore parkour is how I got my start into video.
That's what I was going to ask you. Let's speak about that just a bit.
Yeah, so, okay, I always did sports growing up, all throughout school. And in high school, we had this core of friends, and my brother included, and we were always active. But we started getting to the point where sports weren't necessarily... It was like too competitive, It just wasn't fun anymore like it was when you were kids. And so we were trying to look for something that was... I don't know, you could do on your own, and it was a little more exciting, and I think that's when YouTube was kind of coming out. And so we started seeing all these videos all over YouTube. I'm like, what the heck is parkour? I don't know how to pronounce
parkour.
It. What is that? Yeah,
That's
so
great.
We started watching videos like that, and we're like, I don't know, we're active kids. We could do this stuff.
Yeah, we're kids.
So we just started.
Our ankles still work?
Yeah, our ankles we're young and limber. So we started like just messing around and, watching videos and trying to replicate it. And I think my first like front flip outside ended up like messing up, tearing a ligament in my in my leg. Well, because we had like the mats outside by the football field where people were doing like track and stuff. And we're like, oh, we could learn to front flip on those and then do it on the ground. Yeah. And then I was getting good rotation, so I was like, I'll try it on the ground now. And then just totally messed up my ankle. But we continued and like, just really enjoyed it. And then we started like, okay, we got to film these and like show people. And then after we made our first video, I was just like, this is funner than doing the actual parkour.
Yeah.
And so each video I was trying to, make it better and up it and being inspired by all these other videos that I'm seeing on the internet. And so that was kind of really the start once high school rolled around. So
nice.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that I see, especially like who I've been following for a long period of time, they started in some type of sports, whether it's parkour or like skateboarding and rollerblading. A lot of like amazing videographers or like directors of photography or people who are just in the industry now, whether it be like lighting or audio or whatever it was, they like started. I was the dude. Me, for example, so like I was terrible at skateboarding. I could like ollie, kickflip, do anything like fakie.
What are you better than me? All right.
What's dude? But when it came to like videotaping my friends, I'm like, ooh, I could do this. But what if I was like on my skateboard and just like I think our video camera back then was like, Oh, what was it? What were we using? It had to be like some like janky like
HVX DV tape, something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
definitely. And then I remember our church got a Panasonic AG, like the AG
Sick.
726 or something like that. Dude, it was like, and it had like the square front and the handy cam like handles.
Yeah,
We thought we
slap
were
a
like,
fisheye on
oh
there
my
and
gosh, legit.
You're set.
And then, so the funny thing about that though is I stopped doing video for like probably 10 years, which is why all of my like all the video stuff that I do period looks like 2008 maybe literally. But in that span of time, you see this evolution of video and you see the accessibility of video.
Oh, absolutely.
So talk about that a little bit. So from the time that you were doing video in high school into getting into college a little bit after high school, what did that time period look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a baby still. Just turned 25. So my birthday was yesterday. So
Was it really?
big 25. Yep.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday, good sir. I didn't even know
Thank
this.
you, man. I mean, this is like my birthday
Dude,
present right
what?
here.
Oh my gosh, we're definitely gonna be like a happy birthday to you. Like little like kids' voices, like yeah. Like,
Love it.
Straight up like garage band sound effects.
Yeah, that was real. That was there.
Yeah, they were there. They were the kids. Craft service. Shout out to Craft Services.
Craft service, crafty. Yeah, love it.
Anyways,
Yeah, I think so when I came into it, I mean, like Carrie and I, we still love, like, she knows how to run like a whole dark room and everything like that, develop film and all that.
Yeah. Shout out to my college experience being 100% dark room. Like,
Ooh, yeah.
not even remotely. It was like 99.89% in the dark room at Jefferson Community College. The rest was like maybe grammar or maybe English 100. Anyways, keep going. I apologize.
Well, it's awesome because, I mean, I just enjoy like film and the whole analog aspect of things. But when I came into it, really, that was kind of past and the digital world was here. So accessibility was really easy for me coming in. Like for us to buy, a video camera for our, parkour videos, it was super easy for us to just split the cost and get a decent camera that shot in 1080p.
Yeah. That's which is crazy.
Which is crazy, and then you edit it with a program that you bootleg, which I never did.
Oh yeah, no, nobody's bootlegging.
Yeah, of course. You don't
Final Cut or even Final Cut Elements or
Premiere CS3.
Nobody. What? Photoshop? What?
Of course, never did that, but it was there on the internet too. It's accessible.
Some would say some know about websites like you mentioned Pirate Bay. I should say you. Somebody mentioned Pirate
Somebody
Bay.
that came in here. There's only two of us, but
Craft Services.
Crafty,
one of the
shout
Craft
out.
Services guys. Anyways,
Yeah, he's gone now.
he just ran off. He went to Union.
Okay. Yeah, it's whatever. But I mean, yeah, everything was just super accessible and really easy, and then having YouTube come on the scene and just like all the information at your fingertips, and that was like the one thing that they pushed in school was like you have so much you can learn in a short period of time. Just like fill your head with knowledge, like research all this stuff. So yeah, I think coming into it in the digital world, it was just easier, I think. Yeah. Because everything was more accessible. I mean, back up 10 years ago, trying to buy a film and shoot your own stuff, I mean, it's just really hard to do that.
I mean, even like the change from like what were they called? Mini DV? Was it mini?
Yeah.
What were the little tapes called? Mini DV?
Yeah, mini DV.
Mini DV to like scan disc like cards.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I remember doing video at Trinity World Outreach Center, a church in Louisville, Kentucky, and having like hundreds of those little mini DV tapes that we were using like every Sunday morning. Like, madness, the accessibility nowadays. So with YouTube, learning stuff on YouTube, learning stuff online, did you find it easier to learn in that way than you did in school, like book learning, or were you pretty versatile?
I mean, I think I can do both, but I've always been a visual learner.
Gotcha.
And I think that's one of the things I wish we did more of at the school was more like hands-on stuff where we would either go out and, I mean, we'd have to go out on our own and shoot stuff and bring it back and for homework and things like that. But it was never like, all right, now we're going to head off to this set and like you guys are going to watch and learn. It was just like, we're going to read about it and then we're going to go through a PowerPoint and then you guys are going to try and create something on your own and then that's it.
Yeah.
So for me watching videos, it's just like visual and, people are getting more and more creative every day on how they teach stuff or how they share information and knowledge. And so I think that was just really key for me, because I would just soak it in, watch videos for hours and then go try it.
Which is, it's crazy because now I watch like YouTube, like I'm watching like Peter McKinnon and dudes like that who are like using C200s to make YouTube videos. I'm like, why?
Vloggers using Red cameras, and you're like, is that necessary? But all right.
I mean, if you got the money, go ahead and use the equipment. And, what I was thinking was like the distance of time when I like stopped doing video stuff, period, and then there being like a 5 to 10 year span of time, and then coming to maybe 4 years ago, and you have the capacity to do better quality on a cell phone than what we were doing back in the day on like the mini DV tape and the little like Sony Handycam or whatever it was. Like that's another crazy leap that I've seen like in the video world. And like
with phone shooting in 4K now.
4K. My phone shoots 4K. I usually actually have my phone like set up right here too, but I'm like lazy right now. But
forget about it.
Yeah. Or even like people making like actually making cell phone photography a thing where they have like moment making crazy lenses and crazy like setups so that your phone can actually shoot like even more quality than just having a 4K camera on your phone. I mean, it's crazy.
Everything's just so accessible now that the amount of content being produced is just
out of control. Yeah,
exponentially growing.
So at what point, and we'll take a break here in just a second, but at what point did you start to pursue video like legitimately, like this is going to be my thing?
So just backing up a bit to kind of share my course of my line of work.
Yeah.
So middle school, going into high school, I had decided I wanted to apply at McDonald's for a job.
Okay, shut up. Well, no.
I was 14, 15 maybe.
Okay.
So I applied, and McDonald's is always hiring. They'll always hire high school kids, anybody. I never got a call back from McDonald's. So at that point, that's when the whole parkour thing was happening, and we were getting into video, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do my own thing. And that's kind of when I started. I was, learning taking photos too. So, and just getting odd jobs here and there, like family photos and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
And so, after McDonald's turned me down, shout out McDonald's.
It's the push you needed, right?
Yeah, I think that was just like, man, I don't really want to work in a job like that. So, I mean, I didn't really obviously know what I was doing or what I wanted to do, but I think that was kind of the start of like, I want to work for myself.
Yeah.
And so going through high school, learning more and more about, DSLRs and photography and video and that sort of thing. And then deciding, okay, that's what I want to do for school because I want to go to college. Because originally I had wanted to join the Marine Corps when I was younger.
Marines, yeah.
Shout out Marine Corps. And then I was going to do the whole Naval Academy officer thing. And then God totally just shut that down and gave me a camera, and it really turned around what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So went to school, and I guess after school, I think I was so burnt out on just learning stuff and not really getting anywhere, or having anything to do or to show really after school. I decided that I was like, maybe I should just get a 9-to-5. And that's when I moved back here, and met Carrie, and she had kind of persuaded me to, you got to do something with this. So I think that's when I really started pursuing it as, all right, let's start a business. Let's, start doing freelance and working, and no matter how hard it gets, this is what I feel like I need to do.
So here's a question for you. What's the difference between a director of photography and a videographer?
A videographer is kind of a jack of all trades in the video world. So typically videographers are one-man bands or small crews, and they take care of the audio, they take care of the shooting, the directing, composing, just everything that involves a production, usually the editing as well.
Yeah.
And that's your typical videographer. Director of photography, which is what I'm pursuing as a career more and more, is a single job on set. So you're below the director. You're communicating with the director specifically, and your job is basically to make the director's vision come to life. So you're responsible for the lighting, and you're responsible for telling the crew on set of positioning lights of how you need it to get the look that you want. So really, you're responsible for the look, and that's your job. I mean, you might be monitoring the color grade later in post, but usually not touching the footage. And then sometimes directors of photography can double as operators too, but sometimes they're not. They'll just be kind of overseeing with the monitor, and you're watching, and making sure that the big picture, so the director can work with actors and think of the vision in his head while you are
Capturing
aesthetically making it look how it's supposed to be. So
yeah. And, well, what's that like for, especially for like younger kids who, or I shouldn't say younger kids, anybody really who's looking to get into that role of director of photography? Like, what does that look like practically on a set where you're working with a director or producer, just like having to learn? What's the process of having to learn a director's vision?
Yeah, I think that's something that I'm still finding out myself, you know? Like, I think when you start out, you are going to be doing everything. And so a lot of the jobs that we still get, I still have to produce everything and edit and all of that. So, but those jobs that I do get, it's just, I think it's a good thing that you and the director are on the same page. Like, you guys have a certain aesthetic and vision that correlates, you know? And then, honestly, at the end of the day, it's how you can aid the story and how you can aid the director. So, I mean, it's all about communicating and getting that out on the table. And then a big portion of our job is just problem solving on the fly. A lot of things will come up, and expectations versus reality, things aren't turning out exactly how you have in your head. And that just goes back to like how I was as a kid, like always getting frustrated when like what I have in my head is not what's on the paper. And I think it's just over time learning how to problem solve and work around that.
Nice.
So yeah, a lot of times it's just aiding the director and getting his vision across however you can help in that way. So
yeah. So going back to kind of like your start in this world, this creative world, what did you? So you hear a lot of whether it be videographers or directors of photography or even like photographers talk about getting their starts in their professional quote unquote starts in weddings. Did you ever have to go through that wedding world? I saw it actually on your reel.
Yep.
Like, what was that like? The start of wedding photography.
Yeah, me like most everybody that's in this industry.
Yeah.
Some people, I guess, don't ever go through it, but a majority you got to start somewhere, and that's where I started was weddings.
Nice.
Because when I was in Seattle going to school, I'm a part of an organization called Created to Create.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So Josh Tyven and Scott kind of co-founded that.
Okay.
And
shout out to Tyvens.
Josh Tyven and Scott Yamamura.
Okay.
So Scott is on the Seattle side, and he really basically runs the organization.
Gotcha.
And it's just like a nonprofit that brings creatives together to help create things for organizations and people that need stories told,
Yeah.
So really when I was over in Seattle, I got connected with him, and he was basically my mentor. So really taught me everything all the bases that I know about video was from him. And so going from Seattle back here and kind of taking that knowledge, a lot of what Created does to fund their projects for other organizations is weddings.
Nice.
So that's kind of where I started learning, jumping on some weddings and learning how to shoot, and then deciding, this is fun enough to where I feel like I can do it on my own back on the Idaho side. And then just started doing a lot more weddings here, and that's really where it all started.
Nice.
Was shooting weddings.
Shooting wedding. Do you remember your first wedding?
My first wedding I did for free, and it was for a friend of mine that I think I actually asked to shoot his wedding because I was just so eager to get experience and have something for my portfolio. So I remember borrowing some gear from Scott over in Seattle because I think at the time I was living there, and I had just come over here for the wedding. And so Yeah, I just remember shooting that. I think Hagen Rob helped me second shoot that.
Shout out Hagen.
Hagen, baby.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I think throughout the years.
Who just had a baby.
Who just had a baby, so really, Hagen's baby.
There you go.
But I think through the years, he's actually second shot for me a couple times, so
nice.
We've had some fun experiences. But yeah, and then you just kind of go from there, and each wedding, you know, the first wedding either you do for free or you're charging basically nothing because you have no credentials or anything. You don't have anything to show. And so that was just through the years of doing weddings and getting better. And I think I can have to attribute a lot to weddings, teaching me what skills and things that I'm still bringing to the job today. And a lot of weddings, it's like you got one shot to do it. It's like So you really have to have things dialed and a lot of problem solving on the fly during weddings. And then, of course, you have to deal with the business side of things afterwards. And you learn that you need to do contracts and things like that, because things can... I've got some crazy stories about weddings without contracts, but that's for another time.
Feel free to go into one of those stories. Well, because that's a big point, though, because, like, and you don't have to get, like, you don't have to, like, tell specifics, but, like, a big part of, like, pursuing a creative career path is understanding the business side of it and not just being so far into the creative that you're being either taken advantage of or like, well,
or threatened to be taken to small claims court. That's basically where that one went.
Oh my gosh, that sounds rough.
People are crazy. But yeah, you learn lessons the hard way, and that's honestly the quickest way I've learned is just experience. And I mean, you find others that are doing better than you in your field that you wanted to pursue, and then you just ask them, like, you learn from them. And that's what I continue to do, is find people that are further along than me. Like, and sometimes the comparison game is hard when you see people that are doing amazing work and you're like, oh, like, why is my work not like that? And you're like, well, they're like 10 years further than you in their career, and you just got to remember that. But yeah, I think the business side has come by necessity, because you kind of come to this crossroads of like, okay, this is my passion and I want to do it for the rest of my life, but I have to make a living if I'm going to support a family.
Right.
So you kind of come to that necessity of, okay, I have to run a business side of it, and how do you make it work? How do you make it lucrative? And a lot of it is just flying by the seat of your pants and trusting God that He's going to provide, and He always has. But yeah, and then you just kind of pick up these things and you learn how to drop the phone, shout out phone.
I was like, what just, I thought it was the mic, and I was like, wait, what?
That was my pride.
That was my pride. Business is so hard.
It's so hard. But yeah, you just kind of have to learn these things, and you have to become a businessman as well as an artist. And you find that balance of how to do both, I guess. Yeah,
and I think that's one of the, it's funny when so a lot of people don't know that and you can't tell by my social media accounts, but for about a semester and a half, I went to school for, which we talked about a minute ago, I went to school for commercial photography.
That's right.
And it pretty much started and ended. I did one studio shoot, which I got an A on that project, by the way. Shout out Aaliyah Bickett. I got an A on that. That was like my first day in college. That's not true, actually. But I spent the majority of the time in the dark room. But one of the things that Tony Guffey, rest in peace, Tony Guffey, my photography professor, told me was, like, most artists fail because they don't know how to, they're so far into the creative that they have no clue, nor do they want to pursue the business side of things. And so, like, all they do is make work, but that work doesn't make them money, so they starve. It's crazy.
Yeah, you can be as talented as, the most talented person, but yeah, if you can't find a way to
monetize it.
Yeah, sell your work and find that job, that next job, then you're basically just going to be creating really pretty things that just sit. So...
All right, y'all, that is it for this week. Once again, huge shout out to the homie Josh Allred. Make sure you check him out at joshallreddp.com. And also, to learn more about the community experiment, make sure you hit us up at communityexperiment.com. And we'll talk to you next time. Peace.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
There it is. He's gone with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
STEM is the discipline of hard numbers, precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to get messy, or just mess it up. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to try. Dare to fail. Dare to keep daring. Science! Dare to learn the difference between organic, sedimentary, and non-foliated metamorphic rock. Get outside. Find those rocks. Dare to be homeroom famous, a high school fable. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. And for the love of STEM, dare bigger. Dare to code. Dare to invent. Dare to explore. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Spending time outdoors has never felt more valuable. Whether it's exploring nature or relaxing in your yard, let's do it responsibly. Before going out, check for closures and fire restrictions. Practice social distancing, even when outside and on the trail. Back at home, if burning yard debris, keep your pile small. And no matter where you are, be sure to properly extinguish any outdoor fire. Drown, stir, drown, feel. We're all in this together. Help keep our safe places safe.